You know that feeling when you finish something you're genuinely proud of, and you send it, and the response is a thumbs up emoji, not even a full sentence, a thumbs up. And you sit there for a second thinking, did they read it? Do they know what went into that? The version before this one that you scrapped at 11 p.m., the 3 different approaches you tried, the thing you caught that would have been embarrassing later. The judgment call that nobody asked you to make, but that made the whole thing work. The thumbs up doesn't know any of that. And neither, apparently, does anyone else. That's not vanity. That's not neediness. That's one of the most fundamental human needs at work. The need to feel that what you contribute is seen, registered, and understood as coming from you specifically. And when that need goes unmet, consistently, over months and years, something changes. Not dramatically, just slowly. The way a room gets colder when nobody notices the window is open. Here's what nobody tells you about people who work hard, but nobody notices. They call you someone who needs validation. You're actually someone operating in an environment that has systematically failed to close the feedback loop that every human being requires to sustain effort over time. The just do good work and it'll be recognized advice assumes a workplace where recognition is distributed in proportion to contribution. Most workplaces are not that place. Most workplaces distribute recognition in proportion to visibility. And visibility and contribution are not the same thing. Not even close. You don't need more validation. You need an environment that actually sees what you're doing. Here's the thing. There's a concept in organizational psychology called psychological visibility. The degree to which an employee feels that their efforts, skills, and contributions are accurately perceived by the people around them. Here's what tends to happen when that feedback loop doesn't close. The brain registers the missing signal as evidence that the extra effort wasn't necessary, that the quality check, the caught mistake, the judgment call made under pressure could have been skipped without consequence. And gradually, without any conscious decision, the effort calibrates downward. Not to laziness, to sustainability, to the level of effort that the environment seems to warrant. What looks like disengagement from the outside is almost always a rational response to an environment that stops signaling that engagement mattered. But then there's something else happening here. Underneath the recognition gap is a second layer that makes the situation particularly painful for people who care about their work. The work you do that goes unnoticed is almost always the invisible work. The quality check, the extra iteration, the thing you fixed before anyone knew it was broken. The question you asked in the meeting that redirected the project in a way that will never be traceable back to you. Visible work gets recognized. It has an author. It has a timestamp. It exists in a format that others can point to and evaluate. Invisible work, the thinking, the judgment, the care, leaves no artifact. It disappears into the output without a signature. And in organizations that recognize outputs rather than the process that produced them, the person responsible for the quality of that process can work for years without anyone accumulating an accurate picture of what they actually contribute. Have you ever fixed something quietly, something that would have caused a problem later, and then watched the project succeed and heard someone else get credit for the success? That's not bad luck. That's the invisible work tax. You paid it, someone else collected. Now here's where it gets interesting. The visibility problem follows predictable patterns. The people who get recognized most reliably aren't always the people doing the most careful work. They're the people closest to decision makers, the people who narrate their contributions in real time, the people who make their process visible even when the output doesn't require it. People who work loudly, who share updates proactively, who frame their contributions explicitly get recognized at significantly higher rates than people who work quietly and let the results do the talking. This creates a specific and deeply unfair dynamic. The people most focused on doing excellent work tend to be the least focused on making sure others know they're doing it. And the people most focused on visibility tend to be the least focused on the work itself. The recognition system, in most organizations, rewards the second group more reliably than the first. Not because anyone decided this was fair, because the system was never designed to see past the surface of what's visible. But let's clear something up. The standard response to this problem is to tell the invisible worker to become more visible. Speak up more. Share your wins. Make sure leadership knows what you're working on. Learn to self-promote. And that advice is not wrong in isolation. Visibility is a real factor, and managing it is a real skill. But it is a profoundly incomplete response to what is fundamentally a systems failure. Because the burden of fixing a recognition problem that the organization created is being placed entirely on the person who is already doing more than their share of the work. The message is, the system can't see you, so you need to make yourself easier to see. What it should be? The system is broken, and the people responsible for it should fix it. A manager who doesn't know what their team members are actually contributing is not managing. They are supervising outputs while remaining ignorant of the process that produces them. And an organization that retains managers who can't see their people is making a choice about what kind of work it values, and quietly telling everyone else that the invisible work, however essential, will remain exactly that. Here's what they don't tell you. The work you've been doing, the careful work, the thorough work, the work that nobody asked you to do, but that made everything better, that work happened. It is real. It exists in every project that ran smoother than it should have. Every problem that got caught before it became a crisis. Every outcome that looked easy because you made it look easy. The fact that nobody named it doesn't mean it wasn't there. It means the room didn't have the right instruments to detect it. And here's what that costs. Not just professionally, personally. Because when the need to feel seen goes unmet year after year, something quieter than burnout happens. A gradual withdrawal of the part of you that cared enough to do the work that well. Not a dramatic decision, just a slow, almost imperceptible recalibration. The extra hour you used to give without thinking. The additional check you used to run automatically. The care that used to be the default, becoming the exception. That withdrawal is not laziness. It is grief. The grief of someone who gave their best work to a room that never looked up. So the next time you finish something you're proud of, and the response is a thumbs up, remember that the thumbs up is not a verdict. It's a data point about the system's capacity to recognize what it's receiving. And that capacity has always been the system's limitation, not yours. Now tell me, what's the piece of work you're most proud of that got the least recognition? And do you know why it went unnoticed? Drop it in the comments. And if this video finally names something you've been trying not to care about for years, hit subscribe. We're here every week breaking down the psychology of work that nobody talks about. Because understanding why you are the way you are, that's not just interesting, that's powerful.